Too much television can hurt your eyes.
Ciao.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. In this episode we're talking about a movie that's possibly been forgotten about, or it's just underrated by movie lovers, and if that's the case, I disagree.
Okay, let's do it.
This is Tango and Cash. Okay, so from the very start, spoilers and all that out the way, I love this movie. And if you've not seen it, or you've seen it and you don't remember it, I think you will too when we run through all the good stuff that's going on here. I mean, it's 1989, it's an action comedy starring Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell. What more do you need?
I don't know, but it's not raining, and he's standing in a puddle.
Disgusting.
Right, first things first, what is Tango and Cash? Well, it's a buddy cop movie starring screen legends Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell, the latter of these two behemoths being my favourite actor of all time. Just saying, this has been mentioned before for anyone out there taking notes. No?
Get on with it.
Anyway, so we've got two of Hollywood's biggest stars coming together as a pair of narcotics detectives that work the opposite ends of LA, and they couldn't be more opposite in style if you tried.
Downtown Clown versus Beverly Hills Wop.
Example, Stallone plays Ray Tango, a clean-cut detective who wears a three-piece suit to work.
Well, if it isn't Armani with a badge.
Then there's his rival from downtown, Detective Gabriel Cash, played by a certain Kurt Russell. Favourite actor of all time.
You know, man.
In a nutshell, two good cops who get the job done, albeit in different ways and don't like each other, need to team up to save the day after being framed and put behind bars for a crime they didn't commit. But as usual, I'm here asking ridiculous questions like, why doesn't the rest of the world love Tango and Cash as much as I do? And when it comes to buddy cop movies, why do most people normally think of your Lethal Weapons or your Bad Boys rather than thinking about this movie? This whole thing just
Fucking sucks. I mean, this is the biggest pile of shit.
So we start off with Tango driving in his convertible on the hunt for a suspect, and we know he's pretty badass because he tells radio control that he doesn't need backup and will handle the situation by himself.
I see him, but I can handle this myself.
At least that's what I think he said.
I see him, but I can handle this myself.
There's quite a few moments in this movie where Stallone's wonderful way of speaking, or just the noises that he makes, brings joy to the occasion.
Drop dead, I've been on this case for 3 months.
And they are plentiful.
I don't know yet. Yeah, you don't know shit.
So Tango outruns the truck driven by Robert Zidar, who you may recognise for his role in the masterpiece that is Samurai Cop. Love that movie. After racing ahead of his suspect, Tango does a turn and stop that is clearly not performed by a stuntman before calmly loading his gun, aiming it at the truck driving straight towards him, and starts firing.
Jesus!
I mean, wow, Tango, what the hell? Talk about police brutality.
This guy's crazy!
The bad guys, for some strange reason, slam on the brakes at the last minute and then Hollywood-style crash through the windscreen, landing perfectly in front of the waiting Tango, who has not moved an inch.
Glad you could drop in.
And with that one line, you know what you're getting here for this movie. Unnecessary, over-the-top silliness with the cheesy one-liners you would expect or even hope for from an action movie for the 80s.
Fuck you.
I prefer blinds.
Backup then arrives, and because he's out of his jurisdiction, the county sheriff gives Tango some shit because the truck seems to be only carrying fuel and not the drugs that Tango had thought.
We checked the whole truck, asshole. There's nothing in it. Who in the fuck you think you are?
He thinks he's Rambo.
I get it because Stallone played Rambo.
Rambo is a pussy.
Get it?
Okay, so clearly the movie has a sense of humour because it takes the time to point out that Stallone, who played Rambo... Whoa! Talk about no room for mistakes.
What do you know? It's snowing.
What if he was wrong and that truck just exploded? A bold move, but that's the type of cop Tango is. He's done his homework. He was never going to be wrong.
Not bad for a city guy.
Our movie's bad guy then drives by in a limousine and, wouldn't you know it, it's played by Jack Palance.
These two cops are driving me crazy.
Wow. Just wow. There's something about Jack Palance that's just always screamed perfect bad guy to me.
We have to do something about this.
Every moment that you see him in this movie, or any movie for that matter, is just captivating.
Aren't they beautiful?
And just before we move on, Jack Palance singing in City Slickers is one of the most frightening things I have ever seen.
Drifting along.
Or heard.
with the tumbling tumbleweeds.
So after one half of our dynamic duo has been introduced and we've met the movie's bad guy, it's time to meet our other hero, Detective Gabriel Cash, who, unlike Tango, doesn't wear a three-piece suit to work, arrives home with a six-pack of beer and takes a moment to enjoy the look of himself in the mirror after reading about his own success in the newspaper. But it turns out there's someone behind the mirror who shoots Cash a couple of times who doesn't die. We'll assume he's got a bulletproof vest on. There's then a scene of Cash chasing this would-be assassin down on foot before we end up in an underground car park. The bad guy's now in a car trying to run Cash over, but not before Cash decides to basically carjack some poor dude in the name of the law. The law! Not yet, not yet. We'll get to that someday.
Hey, this is my car!
Anyway, Cash eventually gets the better of the bad guy, and as per a great 80s action comedy, we get the action, then we get the comedy.
What did you do with my car? I believe in perestroika! Welcome to America!
So after that thorough introduction to our main cast, I think I'll say here that I'm not going to talk about every single moment of this movie from start to finish because that would be laughable. I mean, for example, we don't really need to over-analyse how excited Cash gets when he sees pizza back at the precinct, do we?
Whoa, pizza!
Or when we're introduced to Terry Hatchell's character, Catherine.
Why don't I just call you?
But just before we do move on, what about this guy?
There? Yes.
Hey, Ray, what's a margin call?
No idea why, but as pointless as this guy's scene is, it's memorable as hell to me.
Why?
Well, your stockbroker's on line 3 says it's urgent.
I'd love to play that part. Hey Ray, what's a margin call?
Why?
Well, your stockbroker's on line 3 says it's urgent.
This is very important, believe.
So moving on, Tango and Cash, unbeknownst to each other, are fed bullshit information which leads to them eventually running into each other while on the case.
You almost got yourself killed, pal.
Oh, really? I'd say it's the other way around.
And for me, this is monumental. This is Kurt Russell and Sylvester Stallone, Tango and Cash, as rivals coming head to head.
You pull that trigger, I'm gonna blow you in half. You got the vision.
You are fucking deluded, pal.
Classic material right there. Anyway, they end up being the victims of this elaborate setup that sees them wrongfully sent to jail, or they'll be shacked up with the very criminals that they had a hand in bringing to justice over the years.
Guys, I'm gonna put brown sugar in your ass!
Shit, I put half these guys away.
But even here at a point, well, they're pretty much in hell, surrounded by these violent criminals that want to do stuff to them.
Hey, Tango, I'm gonna wear you in my shirt like my bitch!
They stay upbeat about it.
God damn it.
What?
Forgot to bring the marshmallows.
And you might think that in some weird and wonderful 80s way, Tango and Cash would be cellmates, right?
Wrong.
Nah, the movie decides to split them up and give them cellmates, which leads to a few memorable moments. And while Cash is dealing with his uncomfortable predicament, Tango,
Would you mind stopping that?
after establishing some authority,
I'm not afraid of you.
names his cellmate Slinky.
What's this?
This is my fiance, Slinky.
I don't know what it is that makes this side character Slinky so memorable for me, but I love every moment we get of him.
Crazy people aren't afraid of anybody.
Is it the Slinky itself that adds something, or is the part just played really well by the actor Clint Howard?
I am not what you would call a handsome man.
So in that totally 80s way, Jack Palance has basically set it up so that with Tango and Cash, the two best cops around behind bars, his henchmen and associates can run wild in the city without any real fear of being stopped.
You don't have to be afraid anymore.
And yes, one of Jack Palance's two main henchmen is in fact James Hong, who played David Lopan in another Kurt Russell movie, Big Trouble in Little China. Which is one of my favourite movies of all time. So after Tango and Cash are nearly killed in prison by electrocution,
Who fries first?
they decide that escaping and taking the bad guy down themselves is the only way to clear their names.
That's your plan.
Yeah.
We're gonna fry.
They track down and interrogate the people that they think were involved in the setup,
Knock, knock.
in a bid to discover who it is that's behind all this nonsense, which gives us more of the bad guy's sort of main henchman,
You fucking wanker.
who Tango and Cash refer to as Ponytail and dangle from the top of a building.
Piss off. Bollocks to plan A.
But the less said about Plan B, the better.
This is Plan B. Can I talk to you for a minute?
We also get this wee guy here who's absolutely terrified that Cash is going to blast him in half with that pump-action shotgun.
What do you want to know?
And that's part of the charm of this movie, between dangling people off rooftops, gaffer taping a hand grenade to somebody's head, or Kurt Russell dressed as a female aerobics instructor.
Aerobics instructor, huh?
Apparently so.
Kiki?
Hey, bud, get your hands off my property.
So we approach the movie's finale where we'll begin our assault on the bad guys' headquarters, but not before Tango and Cash are given a vehicle by their very own weapon tech specialist type guy called Owen.
Owen's not family, is he?
Maybe.
And it's pretty badass.
This thing will go through a brick wall.
So now they're tooled up to the highest degree in their death machine that might be related to the Batmobile. They make their way to Jack Palance's headquarters or hideout, whichever you prefer, and it's all out war from here. By this point in the movie, after all the build-up, you're ready for this, with everything screaming 80s at you, from the music to the explosions to the guns and stunts. It's awesome! After fighting their way into the building and taking out David Lopan and the other guy, they fight Ponytail and another random dude before facing a tricky situation where Catherine's been held hostage by Mr. Perret, or Jack Palance. I mean, I've called him Jack Palance all the way through the video, why stop now?
What bullshit.
Is it Jack Palance or is it Jack Palance? Anyway, the bad guy's defeated, Tango, Cash and Catherine make it out before, of course, the building explodes, and we get none other than the perfect cheesy ending that everybody wants. So let's wrap this bad boy up. Tango and Cash for me is the best buddy cop movie around.
You fucking pig!
It's funny, well paced and keeps you interested from start to finish, and I think the characters themselves have got a lot to do with that.
I think my pantyhose are riding into the unknown.
Way up in the unknown.
All of the cast are perfect, from Stallone and Kurt Russell, right down to the one-off, one-liner appearances from lesser cast members.
What's a margin call?
The action's well delivered in that over-the-top 80s style way, alongside, frankly, an outstanding soundtrack.
Hey!
There's also the small thing of having two actors that most people love in your lead roles, and a bad guy that's up there with the best.
I insist.
Don't insist!
It might not be the perfect movie, but I think there's no better in its field. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching guys. Take care, and hey guys, welcome to the show. In this episode, we're talking about not only a great movie, it's possibly an underrated movie, or forgotten perhaps. I might get a little bit excited about this, more than the ficky. I love this movie, and if you've not seen it, there's a car. Come on, it's 1989, there's an action comedy happening with Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell. What could you be? I think O'Hara's treachery disgraced us.